Urgent. Major security breach at Anderson Technologies. Below it, headlines were already spreading across tech news sites. Leading defense contractor faces catastrophic hack. My father's company, his pride and joy, was under attack. And the only solution was sitting right here in my office, in the very software he'd dismissed as amateur coding last Thanksgiving. Alex, their entire system is going down, my CTO reported, watching the real-time data stream across our monitors. They've lost access to everything. I leaned back in my chair thinking about the last family dinner 3 months ago. Mom's condescending smile as she served dessert. Honey, it's cute that you play with computers, but when will you get a real job like your sister? Dad hadn't even looked up from his phone. Security software? Leave that to the big companies, sweetheart. You're going to get hurt playing in that league. Now his company, one of the big players, was bleeding data by the second. Their outdated security systems were crumbling against a sophisticated cyber attack. The same kind of attack our software had been specifically designed to prevent. Claire, I called my assistant. What's the status of Project Phoenix? She pulled up the details of our newest security system, the one that had just received Pentagon certification. The one that could save Anderson Technologies in minutes if deployed. Ready for immediate implementation. We've had multiple Fortune 500 companies begging for it, but you wanted to wait. I smiled. I'd been waiting for this moment, though I hadn't expected it to come through a crisis. Dad's company had rejected our sales team's pitches 3 times in the past year, never realizing the CEO they refused to meet was his own daughter. My phone buzzed, a family group text from Mom. Your father's having a terrible day at work. Some computer problem. This is why we wanted you to go to law school like your sister. Another text followed from my sister Rachel. Maybe you could ask one of your computer friends to help Dad? Though he probably needs real professionals. I switched off my phone and turned to the wall of screens showing Anderson Technologies' crumbling defenses. 5 years I'd spent building Quantum Shield security from my garage, working while they slept, coding while they mocked my choices. Now my company was valued at $2.1 billion. With a client list that included governments and military contractors. Not that my family knew. They thought I was still tinkering with computers in my apartment, probably living off my savings from that real job I'd quit at 25. Ma'am, Claire appeared at my door. Anderson Technologies CEO is requesting an emergency meeting with Quantum Shield's leadership. Their board is desperate. When? They're demanding to see our CEO tonight. Mr. Anderson specifically said he won't deal with anyone but the top. I straightened my blazer, thinking of all the times Dad had bragged about his executive position at family gatherings, while treating my work like a hobby. Set up the meeting for 7 p.m., I said. At their offices. Their systems are down, Claire reminded me. They can't do virtual. Even better. Tell them Quantum Shield CEO will be there in person. And Claire? Make sure they know our standard emergency response fee is $20 million. Non-negotiable. She smiled, knowing what was coming. Should I arrange for extra security? No need, I said, gathering my laptop. I have a feeling this meeting is going to be very civilized. After all, it's a family company. The Anderson Technologies lobby was chaos when I arrived. Emergency lights cast an eerie glow over dozens of stressed executives pacing with useless phones. Their multi-billion-dollar company had been reduced to paper notes and runners carrying messages between floors. My heels clicked against the marble as I approached reception, remembering how many times I'd visited Dad's office as a kid. Back then he'd proudly introduced me as my little girl who loves computers. Now I was here to save his empire. I'm here for the meeting with the board, I said to the flustered receptionist. Quantum Shield CEO. She looked up, confusion crossing her face as she recognized me. Miss Sarah? Mr. Anderson's daughter? But we're waiting for the CEO of Quantum Shield Security, I finished for her. That's correct. Before she could respond, Dad's executive assistant Jeffrey rushed over. Thank God you're here. But we're expecting the CEO of Quantum Shield. Sarah, this is really not the time to visit your father. I handed him my business card. Black, minimalist with just 2 lines. Sarah Anderson. PO Quantum Shield Security Systems. His face went pale. But that's impossible. Quantum Shield is a multi-billion-dollar. The boardroom, Jeffrey. I cut him off. They're waiting. He led me upstairs in stunned silence. Through the glass walls, I could see the board members gathered around my father, all looking at paper printouts of their crisis reports. Mom was there too. She often attended major meetings as the company's PR director. Jeffrey opened the door and every head turned desperately toward us. "The CEO of Quantum Shield Security," he announced, his voice slightly shaky. I walked in, setting my laptop on the table. Dad stood frozen, his face a mixture of confusion and disbelief. Mom's perfect makeup couldn't hide her shock. "Sarah," Dad finally managed. "Where is?" "I am the CEO of Quantum Shield," I said, opening my laptop. "Now, would you like to discuss your security breach, or should we spend more time questioning my credentials?" One of the board members jumped in. "Mr. Anderson, you know the CEO of Quantum Shield?" Dad's mouth opened and closed without sound. Mom gripped the edge of the table. "Oh yes," I smiled, projecting my screen onto the wall. "You could say we have a long-standing relationship. Though they didn't know about my company until..." I checked my watch, about 30 seconds ago. The room erupted in whispers as my company's statistics appeared on screen. Market valuation, client list, security certifications. Dad sank into his chair as he saw the Pentagon seal next to our name. "Your security systems are approximately 5 years outdated," I continued professionally. "You have multiple vulnerabilities that we identified last year when we first offered our services. The same services you rejected 3 times because, as your email stated, you didn't need advice from newcomers." "That was you," Dad whispered. "Those pitch meetings." "The CEO was always available," I said. "You just refused to meet with me." Something about waiting for someone more qualified. The board members were staring at Dad now, some with obvious anger. "The attack you're experiencing," I continued, "is exactly what our Phoenix protocol was designed to prevent. We can have you back online in under an hour with better protection than you've ever had." "You can save us?" one board member asked eagerly. "Of course." I pulled up the contract on screen. "For $20 million. Non-negotiable." "20 million? Mom finally found her voice. "Sarah, this is your father's company." "No, Mom. This is a business transaction between 2 companies. One of which is failing due to poor security decisions, the other which offers the only immediate solution to their crisis." I turned to the board. "You have 15 minutes to decide. After that, I have a meeting with your largest competitor. They've been trying to acquire our services for months." Dad stood up suddenly. "Everyone out. I need to speak with the CEO of Quantum Shield alone." As the room cleared, Mom lingered by the door. "Sarah, honey. The CEO will be available for personal discussions after business hours," I said firmly. "This meeting is about Anderson Technologies' survival." When the door closed, Dad and I were alone. For the first time in my life, he was looking at me not as his little girl who loved computers, but as the CEO who held his company's fate in her hands. "All those family dinners," he said quietly. "All those times we dismissed your work. We can discuss that later." I opened the contract. "Right now, you have 12 minutes to decide if your pride is worth more than your company. Sign here and here." I pointed to the contract. "Initial these pages acknowledging the implementation timeline and payment structure." Dad's hand trembled slightly as he signed. The great Richard Anderson, who'd never shown weakness in his life, humbled by his daughter's success. The board members watched through the glass walls, their relief palpable as my team started arriving with equipment. "Sarah," Dad said quietly, "Mr. Anderson," I cut him off. "My technical team needs access to your server rooms. Shall we?" He flinched at the formality but nodded. As we walked through the corridors, I could feel every employee's eyes on us. The rumors were already spreading. The CEO's computer geek daughter was actually their savior. In the server room, my team worked with military precision. I watched Dad's face as they deployed our Phoenix protocol, his expression shifting from skepticism to awe as his company's systems came back online, stronger than ever. "This is incredible," he muttered, watching the security metrics stabilize. "This is what I've been playing with for the past 5 years," I replied, checking diagnostics on my tablet. "While you and Mom were telling everyone how I was still finding myself." My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. "Family dinner tonight?" We should talk about all this. Before I could respond, another message appeared. Time magazine wants an interview. They're calling you the hidden tech queen, Claire. Sarah, Dad's voice pulled me back. Your system, it's not just fixing the breach. It's better than anything I've seen. That's why the Pentagon certified it, I said, then turned to my team. Status report? All systems secure, CO Anderson, my chief engineer reported. No data loss. New protocols functioning at 100%. Dad winced at the title. For 20 years he'd been the only CO Anderson in the building. Excellent. Schedule a training session for their IT team tomorrow. They need to understand what they're working with now. Sarah, Dad tried again as my team packed up. Can we talk? As father and daughter. I checked my watch. I have a board meeting in an hour. But I can give you 10 minutes in my office. Your office. The one you've driven past every day, I smiled slightly. The whole top floor of the glass tower across the street. Quantum Shield headquarters. His eyes widened. He'd always pointed to that building as a symbol of success, never knowing his daughter owned it. In my office, Dad stood awkwardly, taking in the view, the awards on the walls, the magazines with my company's achievements. Why didn't you tell us? He finally asked. Would you have believed me? I sat behind my desk. You and Mom were so convinced I was wasting my potential. It was easier to let you think that while I built something revolutionary. We were wrong, he said quietly. So terribly wrong. Yes, you were. I pulled up some files on my screen. By the way, you should know Quantum Shield just bought 15% of Anderson Technologies shares. We'll be your largest minority shareholder by morning. He sat down hard. You own part of my company now? Just ensuring our investment is protected, I smiled. Consider it a daughter's way of looking out for her father's interests. My phone buzzed again. Mom had texted the entire family. Emergency family dinner tonight. We need to celebrate Sarah's success. Another text followed from my sister. OMG, just saw you on tech news. Why didn't you tell us you're a billionaire? The dinner tonight, Dad said hesitantly. Will you come? I looked at him thoughtfully. On 3 conditions. He nodded eagerly. 1. No more dismissing people's chosen careers. 2. Mom stops trying to set me up with successful men from her country club. I think I'm successful enough on my own. And 3. I smiled. You let me upgrade your home office. Your personal computer security is even worse than your company's. He laughed for the first time that day, then grew serious. I am proud of you, Sarah. Not because of the money or success, but because you believed in yourself when we didn't. I know, Dad. I stood up. Now go calm down your board. They're probably wondering if their CEO's daughter is planning a hostile takeover. Are you? Dad, I grinned. If I wanted your company, I wouldn't need to be hostile about it. I'd just wait for the next cyber attack. As he left, I sent a quick text to Mom. I'll be at dinner. And yes, I'm paying. After all, I just made $20 million today. Sometimes success isn't about proving your family wrong. Sometimes